Okay, let's move on and talk about the topics of strategic versus tactical marketing. And here what I want you to learn is where you really want to be focused on spending your time. Because most of us focus our time on tactical marketing, and I want to encourage you to think about strategic marketing. Again, let me begin by defining what those terms mean. Strategic marketing is what you say, how you say it, and who you say it to. What you say, how you say it, and who you say it to. Tactical marketing is where you say it. Where you say it. So let me say it a different way. Strategic marketing is your marketing plan. It's how you identify the customer avatar, the target market that you're going for, and the things that you're going to say that are specifically relevant to those people. Tactical marketing is how you're going to find them. Does that mean radio advertising? Does that mean changing your website? Does that mean a display ad in the newspaper? That's the tactical side. I'll tell you, most of us spend our time on the tactical side. Oh, gee, we need to do a sale this weekend. Let's throw an ad in the paper. And you throw together an ad and you call your rep at the newspaper, and they're more than happy to take your money and put your ad in. And by Tuesday, you're scratching your head going, well, gee, nobody came in off that ad. What happened? Okay? We spend our time on tactical marketing when what we really want to be doing is stepping back and focusing on the strategic side. One of the people that I learned marketing from years ago had a phrase, and I want to share it with you. What he used to say was, if you want to know what John Smith buys, you have to see the world through John Smith's eyes. Let me say it again. If you want to know what John Smith buys, you have to see the world through John Smith's eyes. And what I mean by that is you really have to understand what's important to your customer so that you can address their needs. Here's what most of us do as marketing. We know our product or service really well. We know our company and how good we are. So that's the frame of reference that we use in our marketing. We write ads that make sense to us. That's why you see so many ads with ludicrous platitudes about how we're the best and we've been in business for 1,000,000 years and our people will treat you nicely. You know, those things that we talked about a few minutes ago. None of which resonate with your prospective customer. So, as a business owner, how do you know how John Smith sees the world? How do you know what John Smith's eyes are looking for? Well, it's real simple. You ask John. Okay? We go through, when we work with a client, we go through a 14-question process to find out what their customers really want. I'm going to give you 4 of those questions as an example of the kinds of things that you want to be talking about with your customers. So here are 4 discovery questions. First, under what circumstances does the typical prospect begin to think about what you offer? What's in John Smith's mind when he's down here just starting onto the educational spectrum? Let me say it one more time so you get it down. Under what circumstances does the typical prospect begin to look for what you offer? Second, what things are important to your prospect when buying what you sell? What things are important to your prospect when buying what you sell? Now, this is a multifaceted question. It isn't as simple as, what are important to them. Think about both the product and service and what are important. That's the obvious one. But also think about the buying process. What's important to your prospect when they go through the buying process to get what you sell? Let me give you an example. I hate buying a car. It is one of the worst experiences for me. I'm a guy, so I'm supposed to know something about cars, and I tell you I don't. I've bought cars and never looked under the hood. I know that's sacrilege, but I assume the manufacturer puts an engine under there, and I don't know anything about it anyway, so why would I spend my time looking? But I hate the process, because you walk onto a car lot, and here standing by the front door are 3 or 4 salespeople, usually young men, all smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. And as they see you walk onto the lot, through a series of nods and hand signals, they determine who's the next person that gets to come talk to you. And they want the lucky winner stubs out their cigarette, throws away their cup of coffee, and ambles over and says, well, how can we help you today? I hate that process. And some of you are smiling and nodding. You've been through that same process. There's a reason that there's now a group of companies that will sit down with me, find out what I'm looking for, and they'll go do all of that stuff, and I pay them $500. It's a much more civilized way to buy a car. And next time I need one, that's what I'm going to do. But for me, the car buying process is one that I really detest. What are parts of the process for acquiring your product or service that might be challenging for your customers? So in answer to this second question, what things are important to your prospects, don't just think about the product, but also think about the process. Think about what your customers want as well as what they want to avoid. And in your marketing, you want to address all of those things. Because if there's a subconscious desire to avoid something, like me walking onto a car lot, then you want to speak to that in your marketing, because there's going to be a subset of customers, of prospects for your business that want to avoid some things. And if you can show them how you can help them avoid that and still acquire your product or service, that again separates you from your competition. Question number 3, 4 discovery questions. Here's number 3. What are the relevant and important issues that a prospect needs to be aware of when making a decision? What are the relevant and important issues that a product needs to be aware of when making a decision? Let's take John in the barbecue business. Okay? I've driven by John's truck. It smells really good when you drive by. But here are some of my concerns. Do I really want to buy food from a street vendor? Now, I know I'm not in Mexico City. Presumably it's safer here in Albuquerque, but do I really want to buy food from a street vendor? I don't know. So if I pull in, one of the things that John probably wants to have available is through signs or conversation, but let us know that his carts are inspected by the health department and are certified to be safe. And here's how I deal with the fresh water issue. He's going to build that relationship in the conversation with me to overcome that issue, because that's a concern for me. Okay? Somebody wants to buy a TV. Okay, what are some things that I need to know if I'm going to buy a TV? Well, there's 720 and 1080. And I only know that because I've read some ads. I haven't bought a TV in a long time. But I'm guessing that that has something to do with picture quality. And if I were in the market for a TV, that would be important for a television vendor to educate me on. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to find out what are the important issues that your prospects are aware of. So when you have a conversation with prospects or when you interview customers, those are the kinds of questions you want to ask. You want to learn more about the process they went through that resulted in their doing business with you. What were the things you did that attracted them to be your customer? And what were the things that you could do better? Okay, 4th question, and this is kind of related to what I just said. What do you do to give the customer what they want? What do you do to give the customer what they want? So if John Smith tells you that these 3 things are priorities when you're having the conversation with John or Jane Smith, when they tell you that these 3 things are priorities for them, and you consistently get that feedback from other customers, what do you address in your marketing? You talk about how you do those things. Again, I'll give you a personal example. I use a software program in my business called Infusionsoft. I know Wayne uses the same product. Infusionsoft is a complicated program. It's a customer relationship manager, it's a database, you can do email campaigns, you can even set up a page that has a shopping cart on it and sell your products through this one software package. It is a very complicated package. And I ran into a problem yesterday trying to do something, and I called their customer service people. Now their tech staff is really good and really helpful. But as we finished our conversation, the tech person said, would you mind taking another 2 minutes and answering a couple of questions for us? He says, no, you just spent 10 minutes helping me solve my problem. I'll give you 2 minutes, happy to do it. One of the first questions he asked was, have you used our online help service? And I said, yes. He goes, did you have any issues with that service? And I said, yes, I did. I don't know what question to ask to get to the right place in the hierarchy of help that you have. So I don't get benefit from your help service that's online because I don't know how to ask the right question. And I wind up getting in the wrong video, watching it, realizing that didn't answer my question. I go over here, I go over here. I said, there's no way for me to know how you've keyworded your videos. And he kind of laughs. He goes, everyone I've talked to has said that same thing. We need to do something about that. Now, take that experience and apply it to your business. What are the challenges that John or Jane Smith are having as they come into your world? And what can you do to innovate? There's that word again. What can you do to innovate your company to address those challenges? Now, all of those questions we've just been talking about are strategic questions. And really what we're focusing on are John Smith's hot buttons. As John or Jane Smith come to think about your product or service, what are their hot buttons? What are their priorities? Now, hot buttons is kind of an old school term. Today you might think of it as what are the keywords that they would use to search Google? Now, 10 years ago when I had these conversations with my clients' customers, we didn't ask internet-related questions because nobody was using the internet to the extent that they are today. But one of the first questions we ask today is, when you think about lawn care, when you think about a CPA service, when you think about doing business with a bridal shop, what do you type into Google? What are the keywords? And let me tell you, we write those down and we analyze those keywords because I want to make sure that our clients' web properties are really focused on maximizing those keywords so that they have a better opportunity to get found. Now, if you think that the keywords are one thing and your customers are searching for something else, are you going to get found? Again, I'll give you a personal example. We're working for a gentleman now who lives in Germany. He is a concert violinist, world-renowned concert violinist. And what he has done is created a very unique presentation where he works with the board of directors for very large companies and with leadership teams in Europe, the US, and Asia. And he brings them a presentation where he uses classical music and actually plays live on his violin and applies the constructs of classical music to the challenges of modern business. It's a really unique presentation, and he gets paid really well for it. When we started this project a few months ago, I asked him, I says, Miha, how do people find you? What do they search for? And he gave me a list of things like art and business and creative leadership and a lot of euphemisms that as I listen to them, I'm thinking, okay, these aren't things that normally cross a business person's mind. So I took his list and then I went back to the marketplace and I talked to HR directors from several large companies and said, when you book a person for your board of directors or when you bring in a speaker for your leadership team, what are some of the criteria that you are looking for? I talked to people who are actually in the speakers bureau business. What do you look for when you have a client that says they want, this, this, and this? What are the keywords you search? It should come as no surprise that the keywords that are actually being used by the people who would buy our client's service are very different than what he thought they would be. Now apply that to your business. Are you targeting your marketing, particularly your web-based marketing, to the keywords that are actually being searched by your prospects? And the only way you know that is by talking to your prospects. Okay? The tactical side of this part of our conversation then becomes very easy. When you know how John Smith views the world, and you've had conversations with John and Jane, part of that conversation is, how did you find us? Where else did you look before you found us? Today, most people are using the web and not the yellow pages. There's a reason that newspaper subscriptions are down, because people aren't reading them as much. Depending upon your product or service, there's an application across a lot of different tactical ways to market. But you need to talk to your customers and find out where they're looking, because that'll tell you where you need to spend your marketing dollars.